Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Tacklebox unboxing where I talk about how I manage my tackle for bass fishing specifically. I have other tackle boxes and tackle bags for stuff like walleye, pike fishing, and then the little bit of white bass fishing and panfish fishing that I do. But I'm going to focus on bass fishing just because that's why I spend a lot of my time during the spring and parts of summer. Mostly outside of camping and going to Canada, I'm mostly bass fishing just because that's what's mostly available to me. I will fish for white bass when they come up the river and walleye out in Lake Erie, but most of my tackle is bass oriented. So I'm going to start with the hard baits, and I'll talk about soft plastics. So there is a method to my madness. This is not even all of my tackle boxes, but these are the ones I actually take with me, either when I'm just shore fishing or if I'm out on my boat. I usually like to keep it to 2 or 3 boxes when I actually go. I'll start with the little guys. I have a couple of these small tackle boxes. These are perfect to put in a fishing vest. I use a fly fishing vest. I don't fly fish, but they're great for creek fishing and river fishing. And I got a new life jacket where I can put 2 of these in the pocket, so I'll take specific stuff out of me and kind of save space as far as big tackle boxes go. So in my 2 small ones, I have some finesse football jigs. These ones are from Venom Lures. It has a special hook that I'll show you in a second, and I'll just grab a different brand that I have and you can kind of see the difference. But most football jig heads, you're going to see a hook that looks like this. Venom, theirs is a slightly different shape, and this helps with hookups, and it's a little meatier of a hook, so you might want to use a little harder pull, so something more medium heavy. And then I also have in here all my stuff for Ned rigs, as well as a couple other jig heads, and that one I'll keep in my pocket because I do a lot of fishing with jigs. Second little tackle box, I have all my bladed jigs. So I got a couple different ones here. I have some like jackhammers, chatterbaits, and the Venom Lures bladed jig. I'm going to try all these out. I haven't done a lot of chatterbait fishing, so I'm trying a lot of stuff. Got a lot of different colors. Pretty much one color for every type of water I would experience. I'm really excited to try this green one, and then I got a red one already rigged up in my chatterbait setup. Now next, I'm going to talk about my big tackle boxes because I have those broken down into basically 2 categories. I have specific tackle boxes that are dedicated to like one type of lure, and then I have tackle boxes dedicated to a specific rod. So I have here, this is my frog and then heavy flipping jig box. So in here are all my frogs, and the reason I have jigs in here with frogs, because those aren't exactly similar baits, is because I throw them on my same pole. It's a heavy action pull, and so I keep all that stuff together. So if I'm taking out that rod, it's taking out this tackle box, and that's part of the method that I do. Now another box I have is, these are just a bunch of jerk baits and then like floating Rapala style lures. This is one I just kind of keep as spare. I don't fish these lures a ton, so I keep them in here, and I might take one out with me just to try them out. Early on in the year, I might throw some of these, so I kind of just keep this one usually in my car. I don't usually take this one out of the water with me, but I might keep it in like a tackle bag. Next one I have is another hard bait box, is I've got all my crankbaits. So this, I have a lot of lipless crankbaits, as well as some deep divers, medium divers, and a couple other different style ones. And this one is just kind of my extras. So I keep this on handy if I'm going to be fishing a lot of crankbaits. I might not take this one out of the water with me, but it's always going to be in my car like that jerkbait one. And I throw most of those all in the same rod as well. I'm throwing that on my 7-foot medium action rod. Next tackle box I have, this is my catch-all. So I got a lot of different stuff in here. Most of it doesn't go together. This is something I bring when I'm like pond fishing because there's just like a little bit of everything. So this is one I usually don't take on the boat with me, but it's got stuff like plastic worms. It'll have some crankbaits and jitterbugs, some topwater stuff. Usually some of my smaller baits, maybe one or two larger ones, just if I'm testing rods and reels out and I want to try stuff with different weights. So I usually have this one in my pond tackle box that I keep in my car during the summer. But that one's not really a rod specific or reel specific, just kind of like a little bit of everything. Nice to keep in your car. You don't know what you're going to do. Now my next two are another reel specific. At least this one is. This one's reel specific, rod specific. And it's all the same type of lure. These are all topwater lures. So everything in here is topwater. We've got jitterbugs, we've got spooks, and other walk the dog style baits. We've got some poppers. I have a wake bait, and then I also got some whopper ploppers. Now, everything except the whopper plopper I'm pretty much throwing on my lipless crankbait setup. Because I use mono with that, and when you're throwing certain topwaters, it's good to use mono because mono tends to float. The whopper ploppers, those I'm going to be throwing on heavier setups with braided line, just because typically you're going to be wanting to have a little harder hook sets for that. That you're not really pausing a lot, you're just kind of reeling that straight in. I use braid when I'm throwing a whopper plopper. And then lastly, this is my very important hard tackle box, but I also have some soft plastics in here. This is my box I take out on the kayak every time I go out. Now this one you can't see through, but in here I've got a lot of different crankbaits. I've got my favorites. This is kind of the one where if I don't know what I'm going to throw on the water, I have something I can throw on pretty much any rod reel I come out to the lake with. So I got lipless crankbaits. I'm going to have square bill. I'll throw in some medium divers as well. That's the crankbait part, but it's a 2-tier. And on the second tier, I keep something from 4 different rods down here. So that way I'm kind of never without a lure to throw on any of my poles that I take out with me. So I have in this box, I've got spinner baits. This is a custom one from many years ago. Still a great one. I got all different colors. White, red. I got this brand new one from Venom Lures. It's a green one. I've not thrown a lot of green spinner baits before, so I kind of got a lot of green stuff just to try that out this year. And then I got my tried and true colors are gray and white. I use those a ton. And then also in here, I got one of my favorite lures to use. I have finesse swim jigs. So these are really tiny swim jigs. I'm throwing this on spinning gear. I caught a lot of fish last year on this and many years before, so it doesn't really matter what brand, but boot tail is the thing I look for. I love a boot tail soft plastic. I have some from a couple different brands. I do like Venom's Donkey Snatcher. That one comes in a lot of nice colors, and it's a really solid plastic. Some soft plastic boot tails are really weak. They don't really hold up for very long, or I just don't like how they go on the hook. If I had to pick two, the Donkey Snatcher and then Rapala is a Storm series. It's Storm, but it's owned by Rapala. Their soft tip plastic boot tails are pretty good. It's the search bait that they have. I actually use them more on just the search bait head. I like to use them on a lot of different stuff, just because they're a good quality soft plastic. They last a long time. And then the last two things I have in here are two of my favorite jigs of all time, and I'll throw a number of different things in them. So I have a weedless jig. I'll probably trim that down. It's a really big guard. I don't really like when the guard is too large. And I have all different sizes of Roadrunner jigs, horsehead jigs. They come in a lot of different names. But this is one of my all-time baits. You'll find it hard for me to not be out in the water with one. I've caught so many different fish on them. It's a crappie lure. Blakemore is the brand, but they catch so many different kinds of fish. I've caught walleye, bass, pike, white bass, even bluegill. It's just a great all-around bait. Now, the next part I have are soft plastics, and this is a little more simple than my hard bait stuff. Usually when I'm out on my kayak, I'm taking 3 hard tackle boxes. I try to limit myself to that just for like a management sake of things. And in my car, I usually have 3 or 4. But for soft plastics, I have everything I use in 5 bags, and then they're all still in their original bag. And I'll talk about why that's important in a moment. I'm not going to really go through these as much, but I'm just going to tell you I organize them by the style of fishing. So I have a Ned rig bag. I have a drop shot bag. I have a swim bait bag, and this could be for any size swim bait, my small ones, and then like a really big swim baits I'm throwing on a heavy setup. I have I would call this kind of like a basically crawfish bag for flipping and pitching jigs. A style I'm kind of picking up because I have a boat now. Something I didn't do a lot of shore fishing, but I'm really excited to use these this year. And then my last one is another style of fishing I'm not too experienced with, probably the least of all my stuff, and that's a wacky rig, Sinkos, and other styles of that. I want to do more of that. I see so many people catch fish on them, and I just really never thrown them. No reason for it. It just never really came up. So I'm excited to try those, but I just organize my soft plastics this way because these bags I got all last year from Monster Bass. That's how they were sending all their stuff out. And they're really great for having on the boat because they have zippers. And I like doing this a lot better than taking out like a Ziploc bag. There's a lot of problems that you can have with those. And these are less likely to break and rip. But the thing I really like about them is that it lets me keep a lot of stuff, my soft plastics in there. And then I keep all of my soft plastics in the original container outside of like my storm search baits, just because those don't really have any scent to them, so I'm not worried about that. But what keeping all of your stuff in the original bag does is that it keeps the scent. So I was talking about these earlier, the Venom Lures Donkey Snatcher. So these all come with a scent. So this one is like it's Venom's grab scent. So it has a particular smell, and it's made kind of like essence of fish, basically. Now, you're going to get lots of different smells. So Strike King, for example, they're famous for having a lot of their stuff being scented with coffee. Now, obviously, like fish, like, why would they want to have coffee? But coffee is just a strong smell. So studies show that strong-smelling stuff are more likely to get bit than things that don't have a lot of scent to them. For example, just with this another Venom lure, their Terra Craw. I have this one in my crawfish bag basically, but I leave them in here because it's going to keep that scent longer, and then I don't mix my plastics. Now, mixing plastics can be disastrous, and you're probably thinking, what's the big deal? You keep a bunch of other lures together, but there's a few brands that can actually destroy all your other tackle. And I'll grab one of those. And this is the key kind of player in that. But anything that's Z-Man brand, if you store that with other soft plastics, it will literally melt them because of the polymers that are in Z-Man's stuff. So their Laztec has an ingredient in it that does not mix with other soft plastics in general. So if I were to take one of their like Senko style bait and you put this with any other random soft plastic that I have, it'll melt it. And I didn't know that when I bought one of them years ago, and I just like destroyed a whole section of my soft plastics. So make sure you keep stuff in their original package, just because of scent, but also because stuff doesn't like to mix. So those are my key things for soft and hard plastics. This is all my bass fishing stuff, all my soft plastics, and all of my hard baits. I can all fit in this crate that's right behind me where I sit, and then I'll usually keep this, the big dark one, I'll keep that right under my chair when I'm fishing. And so it allows me to store a lot of stuff while I'm fishing, but also keep me versatile and it's just a good way to do it for bass fishing, keeping your soft plastics and your hard baits separate in general, but also for your just kind of peace of mind when you're going out fishing and you know what's in what bag. A lot of people like to label. That's something I'm going to be doing too. These bags have a place for it, but I think I'm just going to put a piece of duct tape on it because that's going to hold like the permanent marker better. Typically plastic bags, they just don't hold onto stuff like that. So that's my plan for those. And that's pretty much it. I'll link down below where some of this stuff comes from that I talked about. But mostly, I'll just kind of give some links to any kind of place you can find big plastic bags. Those are great. And then obviously tackle boxes. I have some new tackle boxes that I'm getting from Ardent, one of their partners. They make some really great tackle boxes, and I'm going to be putting a lot of my stuff into those because I don't know if you can see, but some of my tackle boxes have seen better days. This is supposed to be see-through, and it's so scratched up in places just from years of use. I've probably had this tackle box since I was in middle school or high school, so it's nice to change them up every now and then. The hinges do wear down, they do break. If you spend more money to start with, they will last you longer, but with anything that's plastic, stuff is going to wear over time. So that's all I have for this. I will be doing a future one for my like multi-species stuff, my pike, walleye, white bass, panfish, and even some ocean fishing things, because I can do that all in one video. First, my bass stuff is a lot more extensive. So thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe.